Senator Patrick, what are your thoughts on why the anti-sanctuary city bill has gone nowhere in the House?
You know, the House members would have to speak for themselves, but as a, not as a senator, but as a citizen, I am upset, I'm disappointed, I'm frustrated. This is an issue that not just conservative Republicans, but independents, and I believe some Democrats as well, want addressed. Illegal immigration impacts our budget maybe 20%. That's $30 billion. Our streets are less safe. And while we have done a better job on the border with Texas money, and let's face it, the reason fewer people are getting in because the economy's down and fewer people are coming. But this was the session with 101 Republicans in the House. They had the supermajority. I mean, we don't even have the supermajority in the Senate. For them not to pass that bill in the special session is unacceptable. And then on the TSA bill, the bill that became a very big bill at the end of the session, we passed the TSA bill out on a Monday night, a really good bill with great input from district attorneys and the Attorney General and citizens, and they don't even accept the bill. And we have days in the special session where there's not a quorum. When I decided to run for office, I did not leave my opinions or my passions at the door to come here to be a go-along, get-along person to say, well, you know, it's the club, it's the establishment, you know. No, if I'm going to stay quiet, then I need to go home and let someone else run. Unfortunately, too many people don't speak up because they're worried about, oh my goodness, I won't get this assignment, oh, I won't get this bill passed. We have some really good people in the legislature, and everyone needs to speak up about what happened, because it's just unacceptable. Not forget the Republican Party; it's unacceptable for Texas.
It is, Senator, and you know, we spoke with other senators early, and they pretty much shared your sentiments. But I'm really glad you brought up the TSA bill, simply because the Senate was here all night, and you know, we applaud the Senate for doing the job and getting the business done. And the TSA bill is now sitting over at the House, but we're still hearing that it may not even get to the floor. What are your thoughts on that?
It won't get to the floor because they wouldn't let the messenger in. Veterans can't remember the last time a chamber basically said, because literally we carry the bills over. We have a messenger that does it. They sent the messenger back with not just the TSA bill, but with a court reform bill that we worked on the whole session and special session. People are going to have to be held accountable. Questions are going to have to be asked. Why did this happen? And it can't be the blame game. Now, there are some really good people over in the House who are really good conservatives who I hope don't get blamed because they're one of 101. But tough questions need to be asked. And the only conclusion you can come to, they didn't want to pass the sanctuary city bill, and they didn't want to pass the TSA bill. Because, you know, in the Senate the other day, look, we were totally prepared. Well, there's a professional courtesy, and the courtesy should be, if it's a House bill and you're the author and it comes over to the Senate, it should be your bill. The people don't care, but it's a professional courtesy. And if it's a Senate bill, I don't ever care about those things, but for example, the sonogram bill, I wrote it in 07, I wrote it in 09, I wrote it this year, but it's a House bill. I couldn't care less if my name's on it. It doesn't, people only want to get legislation passed. But David Simpson, a freshman, had worked really hard, and he's a really good person who's sincere. This was his passion. And so he had the bill, he passed it Monday a week ago, 10 days ago, and he asked me to see if I could rally the votes. I rallied the votes. I said, David, we'll wait for your bill to come over. We sent a letter to the governor, put it on the call. I've got the votes. David passed that bill, and they basically made him wait a week to get it out. In fact, it's still not out. Mm-hmm. It only got to second reading. They didn't even give third reading. But we thought the bill was going to pass last Friday because it was on the calendar. It passed unanimously in the regular session. Who would think that it wouldn't get out? So we were waiting to pick up the bill Monday. We could have gotten it in committee, go through the process, have it on the floor today and pass it tonight or early in the morning. Once his bill didn't pass Friday, we had no choice but to try to get our bill out, Senate Bill 29. And so think about this. They have 101 members and couldn't get it done. We don't have a supermajority. We got a bill from the hearing through the process and passed in 12 hours. And I needed, even though we only needed 16 votes in special to pass a bill to suspend rules in this particular situation, I needed some Democrats. So I was able to get 2 Democrats to help me, even though they voted against the bill, to suspend the rules. And we got it out. So we busted our tail to get that out, and they don't accept it? That's not acceptable.
No. And Senator Patrick, let's make sure that we bring all of this, the game playing over in the House, let's bring this around to what the bottom line is for Texans. Number one, people in the House, leadership in the House, played games with the rule of law. That's what it means. They were not ready to stand up for the rule of law in the anti-sanctuary cities bill because they've decided it's more important to play games with a political issue than to protect citizens and legal residents of Texas. And on the TSA bill, that's an issue of the Fourth Amendment. I mean, really, they've decided to play games with a constitutional right and a reasonable expectation of Texans. Would you agree?
Well, I won't speak to motives. I don't know what the motives are of people not to push legislation or not to show up to vote where you can't have a quorum. The TSA bill was literally, no cliche, a come and take it moment for Texas to lead. And the House took a position of take it or leave it moment, with this resolution. On the sanctuary city bill, today, and issues change over time. The economy is the biggest issue. People are worried about jobs. But illegal immigration is still a close second or tied for that number one issue. And illegal immigration impacts jobs. But we're not, as Tea Party people, as grassroots people, we know. In fact, I hate to even say it because it sounds defensive, but we know we're not anti-Hispanic, we're not anti-immigrant. We just want the rule of law.
Yeah.
And as I said on the Senate floor, my heart was heavy. I still have to support our sanctuary city bill, which we passed with all 19 Republicans co-authoring it. My heart is heavy for Kevin Will, a police officer in my district, who within a few weeks before we passed the sanctuary city bill was killed by someone who had been deported twice. My heart is heavy that people coming to this country have to sneak in the back of an 18-wheeler, or women are raped on the border as part of the bounty to get here. That's an undignified way for people. Who should come to America in that matter? We should have a real policy that brings dignity to the process. We control the flow of the people who come here, not the drug cartels. And if we need people to come and fill certain jobs, and we do, when the economy is strong, if we do, they can't bring their entire family with them. I mean, if you look at our other different visas to come here and work, it's hard to get the rest of your family in. We cannot take care of the world as compassionate as we want to be. Our first responsibility is to our own citizens first. And would we, in our Christian charity, would all of us reach out and help people? We do that. The greatest export of America and Texas, since we're a big part of America, is we export our time, our talent, our money, our missionary work, volunteerism. We do that. But we do not have an obligation for our government to try and clothe, feed, educate, medicate every person in the world. It will bring us down. And that's the message I think gets muddled. I don't step back from that. And that's what I said on the floor. I said, those of you who are against this bill, do you want this to continue? Do you want this to continue? We can't. So this session, look, there are a lot of good things passed. We did pass a budget, didn't raise taxes, and we balanced it, and we cut $15 billion. Most of it's stimulus money, but at least we didn't spend it a second time. The Democrats, if they were in charge, would spend it all, and then some. And our teachers, 100,000 teachers are going to be laid off. No, we funded our teachers, we funded our classrooms. Most people, when they go back to school this fall, parents aren't going to notice any difference. And if the school districts had a 6% cut to tighten their belt, well, guess what? That's the real world. Everybody's cutting and tightening their belt, sometimes by more than 6%. And voter ID, finally, a good bill. And actually, that was a blessing. Had we passed it in a session before, it wouldn't have been as strong as it is now because we were able to run the table on it, and we put the 21 vote rule aside. Sonogram, which I carried, eminent domain, school reform, healthcare compact, all those things are good. But illegal immigration impacts all of that.
Well, it does, Senator, and just, one final thought on illegal immigration is that the House does have a supermajority of Republicans simply because the people of Texas
Right.
wanted something done
Right.
about illegal immigration. So do you think it's fair for us to say that the House leadership has failed?
That's the decision people are going to have to decide on their own. I'm pretty frustrated. If you have 101 and you have 19 out of 31 in the Senate Republican, and across the board we're in charge, the buck does stop with us. There are no excuses. There are no alibis. And you know what? I would rather sometimes someone just to stand up and say, I just don't support that, as opposed to telling me I'm for it and work against it.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can get out of here.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Senator.
Thank you.